Hi there, Bruce Wallace from Dundee and Victoria Chess Club in Bonnie, Scotland. Please excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold here. Thank you for those who gave me good feedback on the Alekhine video I posted recently on YouTube. And I was thinking, what's another good game that I can post? And this one came to mind. I saw this game in the world's greatest chess games, and it's Aron Nimzowitsch versus Siebert Tarrasch. Played in St. Petersburg in 1914, and there is a story to this game. Aron Nimzowitsch was the father of the hypermodern school and criticised the precepts of the classical school, which was championed by Siebert Tarrasch. They were both German masters, and it was no secret that they both detested each other. And in this game there's plenty venom over the board. So let's kick off. D4 from Nimzowitsch, D5, knight f3, C5, C4, E6, E3, Queen's Gambit declined, knight f6, bishop d3, knight c6, castles, bishop d6, b3, castles, bishop b2, b6, knight b to d2, bishop b7, rook c1, queen e7, c takes d5, e takes d5. And at this point the game is absolutely level. But here Nimzowitsch plays knight h4 with a rather obvious threat of knight to f5, forking queen and bishop. However, this is easily thwarted by Tarrasch, who plays g6. And Nimzowitsch realises that the move knight h3 wasn't particularly logical, and decides to play the knight back, losing a tempo. And the fact that this pawn is on g6 now does matter later on in the game, as we shall see. Rook a to d8, centralising a rook, d takes c5, pawn takes back, bishop b5, knight e4 now, bishop takes knight, bishop takes, and then queen c2. And here Tarrasch takes the knight. Now it's not good to take back with the queen. You've got various options. D4, which opens up the bishop on the knight here, and it's not particularly good. If, for example, white takes the pawn, bishop takes knight, queen h6 recommended, with the idea of taking this pawn, attacking the bishop, and threatening mate on g7. However, queen f6 just stops this. G takes f3, c takes d4, rook c4, bishop e5. And although material is equal, black is well ahead in this position and should win. So after d4, queen e2, and then d3, and the pawn can't be taken by the queen. If queen takes the obvious, bishop takes h2, check, picks up the queen. So the queen must move, defending the knight to d1, and then rook f to e8, and big advantage to black, and at this level probably a decisive advantage. However, after knight takes d2, white has to take back with the knight, and now Tarrasch plays a move which is preparatory to one of the greatest attacks in chess history. See if you can see it. Pause the video. Tarrasch plays the move at d4, which opens up the bishop on c6, the bishop on d6. The queen is prepared to come into the attack, as is the rook, and the rook on f8 can also join in the fun with rook e8. In the meantime, the only piece defending the king side is the rook, and even the knight actually impedes the defence of the queen, for example, along this rank. So how is Nimzowitsch to respond? Now g3, it might appear, is a defence. However, I haven't got time to go through these lines. This does lead to an advantage for black in any case. So after d4, Nimzowitsch took the pawn, and there now follows a sacrificial tsunami against the white position. Bishop takes h2 check, king takes, queen takes h4 check, king g1, and now Tarrasch follows up with bishop takes g2, a double bishop sacrifice. Now here, if the king takes g2, queen g4 check, king h2, rook d5, preparing to bring the rook to h5 and mating, and therefore the only way of stopping that is queen takes c5, rook h5 check, queen takes, king g2, queen g5 check, anywhere with the king, king f3, and the queen picks up another piece, also attacking the bishop, rook b1, rook e8, with a huge advantage to black, and it should be merely a matter of technique now for Tarrasch, particularly with these pawns coming into the attack. So really the bishop cannot be taken. However, after bishop j2, the denouement of this game is quite spectacular. Nimzowitsch plays f3, then rook f to e8, bringing up the reserves, knight e4, and now the attack gathers momentum with queen h1 check, king f2, bishop takes f1. Now here the rook can't take, obviously. If rook takes bishop, queen takes h2 check, king e3, and the queen drops. So after bishop f1, white plays d5, then f5 attacking the knight, queen c3, which is a forlorn attempt at a counter-attack threatening mate on g7. However, this is far too slow. Queen g2 check, king e3, and how is white to continue the attack? Black to continue the attack? Rather, you have to realise that the mate on g7 is still on. Black continues with rook takes e4 check, and the king can't move. The queen covers all the squares here, the bishop the squares here, the rook and the pawn cover these squares, therefore pawn is forced to take. And it was pointed out that now black has a very easy win with queen g3 check, king d2, queen f2 check, king d1, queen e2 mate. And that didn't appear too difficult to see. However, after rook takes e4, Tarrasch decided on a different strategy, and after pawn takes rook, f4 check. And this leads to a spectacular finish, but some people have argued, why not the easier mate? And the speculation was that when one sees the end of this game, that Tarrasch decided, because of his detestation of Nimzowitsch, that his motivation was based on pure sadism. And when one sees the finish, one can understand. However, it is beautiful to watch. The king must take the pawn, as the king has no moves. This square is covered, this square is covered, this square, this square, this square, this square. So the king has no moves. The king is forced to take the pawn. So queen takes f4, and there now continues rook f8, and now the king goes to e5. What about if the king decides to go to e3? It's queen f2 mate. So after rook f8 check, the king goes to e5. Queen h2 check. King e6. What if here? Sorry, king e6, rook e8 check, king d7. What if here at king f6? Well, it's merely a queen f4 mate. So after rook e8 check, it's king d7. Here, Tarrasch finishes off with a prosaic finish to the game. Can you see it? Beautiful little finish with bishop b5 mate. a beautiful mate using a skewer supporting the rook, and the queen covering the dark squares from h2 to b8, and an absolutely sparkling finish. Classical chess at its best, a brilliant sacrificial mating attack, a dream to watch. Hope you enjoyed that. See you soon on YouTube.